Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. Now for today's video, I wanted to have another beauty chat with you all. Now my last beauty chat was so well liked by you all. Honestly, I am so thankful, so grateful because I was extremely nervous before posting that. I was like, will anyone be even interested in having a beauty conversation with me when it comes to beauty industry and trends? But I'm so glad that you all do. I've always felt like my videos need to have like an information background to them, a review background, looks, tutorials or something to them, and conversations just seemed very astray for me. But again, I'm just so glad that you all loved it, and I cannot wait to have more beauty chats with you all. And I feel like these are important conversations because they affect us not only like on a topical beauty surface, but like much deeper. And today is going to be a proof for that, exactly just for that reason, because I am going to be talking about the evolution of beauty space when it comes to market. I do have a tiny background when it comes to like business development and analytics, and I'm also a sociology graduate, so I do see it in a hot pot sort of a way. I have been observing the beauty industry for a while from the outside right now, and when we mix in sociology and business development and analytics into the mix, it's just a very nice and unique place to be in where I can chime in my 2 cents. And I'm sure if you have been a beauty enthusiast, you would have your thoughts and opinions as well. So comment section is open for party. We are going to be having a conversation about beauty trends in industry because Indian beauty scene has been booming. Like, don't get me wrong, beauty has always been a part of our culture. We've had sola shringars, surmedanis, and mehendi and whatnot. But when we talk about in a more commercialized sense of things, 5 to 6 years is what I'm going to cap it at. When you reverse back time, like 5 to 6 years ago, there weren't a lot of Indian makeup brands. We had like maybe say a color bar that was owned by Modi Care and maybe a Faces, which is a very gray area. But we didn't really have a lot of made in India brands, let alone having made in India conglomerates, made in India parent companies. If you're wondering what a parent company is basically like an umbrella company which has multiple brands underneath it. So we've always had parent companies from the outside who entered into the Indian market space, and we've just gone with the flow with them. Now, let's talk about some really popular umbrella companies that I'm sure you would have heard of. Firstly, we have L'Oreal. Now, L'Oreal owns Maybelline, NYX, Garnier, Vichy, to name a few. Then we have Elcor Estee Lauder, which owns MAC, Clinique, Smashbox, Bobbi Brown. Again, they have a lot of other companies underneath them. Then we have Hindustan Unilever, which is the Indian subsidiary of Unilever. And underneath Hindustan Unilever, we have Lakme, Pond's, Simple, more recently Acne Squad, and again, a lot of other companies. I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg right here. And now, when we talk about the Indian space, in the last 5 to 6 years, we have seen the upcoming growth of Indian conglomerates and Indian umbrella companies. I'm going to be touching base on 4 such companies because I need you guys to also understand how they are seeping into like other aspects. Some of them have very common threads, and I will be touching on them, but these 4 companies are really making a mark right now for how Indian business is going to be developing when it comes to the beauty space. So the first one has to be Nykaa. Now, Nykaa was the first move when it comes to the beauty space, and they truly just paved the path for everyone. I'm not sure how beauty scene would have evolved in India if Nykaa did not tap into the potential that they saw when it comes to beauty. Now, Nykaa has a lot of in-house brands. They have Nykaa Beauty, Nykaa Naturals, Nykaa RX, Nykaa Fashion. They've also shifted to fashion as well. Like, they have gone into the fashion industry as well, and that's what I was saying as well. It's not just the beauty space, they are tapping into like multiple spaces, and that's how it's going to move from here on. And that's how we've seen it moving in the western industry as well. Like, Unilever just doesn't do beauty, right? Unilever does a lot of FMCG, a lot of other things as well. It's not just beauty. So Nykaa has a lot of that, but then they also have direct subsidiaries underneath them, which are different brands, and they've also acquired a lot of brands. So parent companies not only birth brands, but they also acquire brands to just, talk about competition. They don't want a lot of competition in the market. They see a potential in a brand and they see they can compete with the brand. So they acquire that brand. They can either dissolve that brand and get the formulations from them, or they can just keep the brand and make sure that whatever profit that brand is making goes to their pocket. So that is what acquiring is, and Nykaa has been acquiring a lot of companies as well. Now, they first were birthing brands, for example Nykaa Beauty and all of that, and even K Beauty, because K Beauty is a Nykaa and K Beauty JV. It's a joint venture. It's not just Katrina Kaif. Nykaa is backing that. Nykaa is providing all of the formulation and everything. So yeah, Nykaa is a huge part of that. But now they have been acquiring some beautiful brands. For example, a brand that they've acquired is Dot and Key. And Dot and Key, when I look at it, it was a nice brand that a lot of people were talking about, and then they had their negative downflows, but they've made up for it. And you also see a little touch of rebrandings and a little bit of change here and there is usually up whenever a company is acquired, because whenever they're acquired, there are newer voices, there are newer decision makers, and they just touch base on all of that. For example, they changed their formulations a little bit to make a lot of them fragrance free. Then they also changed their packaging a little bit to make their hat design, which wasn't like, directly in competition with Frudia. And obviously, all of these require money, and Nykaa, or the parent company, whenever we're talking about in this scenario, has the money, has the resources to make all of that happen. Now, some other companies that Nykaa has acquired fall under Nudge Wellness. So if you check out Nykaa subsidiaries, they have Nudge Wellness mentioned there, and I was like, what is Nudge Wellness? Like, what does it even do? So Nudge Wellness is actually a nutraceutical company. Basically, they make things that are more science and vitamin based, but they're not claiming to be medicines, nutraceuticals. So all of your like vitamin C tablets or like glow tablets and all of that. But under Nudge Wellness, we have a company that has been acquired, and it's called Innovist. They were earlier One Star Lab, and One Star Lab basically is the company that makes Chemist at Play, Bare Anatomy, and Sunscope. That was so interesting to me because they've not clearly mentioned that they own Innovist, but it's like layer under layer under layer. So Innovist was acquired by Nudge Wellness, which is like a subsidiary of Nykaa. So if you just open their subsidiaries, you won't be able to like make out that Sunscoop is actually owned, and like, the profits and the voices are of Nykaa. You wouldn't like honestly get to know about it, which is interesting. But yeah, those are just some companies that they have acquired. They've also been investing into certain companies and making them associate companies where they don't have like the decision making skills, but they're like investing into it and like getting a lot of shares to them. And one of that company is Earth Rhythm, you guys. And if you've been keeping a tab, Earth Rhythm has recently launched a nice range of makeup. That's very, very interesting because they now have resources and money and formulations as well, and access to like labs and all of that to get the things that they wanted. That is interesting, and that's why I feel like these acquisitions and these mergers just really just change beauty industry for everyone. And we often like overlook like how is that happening. We feel like, oh, Earthdom would have been doing really well, as in it's a profitable company or whatever, and that's why maybe they're launching makeup. But we don't realize that there are investment made by these huge companies who are just getting more profits rather than the indie homegrown brand. And that's another thing, like there aren't a lot of like proper indie homegrown brands in India right now, because it's still a developing space, right? So indie brands are really shady. Like shady is the wrong word, like they're not properly, how do I put it in a way that it's not going to sound rude, certified. They're not properly certified, and so they have to like find their base and all of that. And when it comes to like huge companies like Nykaa just offering that base to them, obviously they're going to take it, right? Like obviously they're going to take it. But another really interesting thing that I've been noticing is that all of these conglomerates also tend to invest in a press outlet of sorts, and that really controls the narrative. And that's what I feel is so interesting. At first, when I was going through the subsidiaries, I was just like, why have they acquired Illuminar Media? What does Illuminar Media do? So Nykaa owns Illuminar Media. And if you're like me wondering what is Illuminar Media, basically they are LBB, or Little Black Book, which is like a recommendation website which had built a lot of its, trust factor and all of that over years, just recommending places and things and just everything. It's like a full on recommendation blog of sorts, but it's like a press outlet and it's like a full fledged business. And Nykaa acquired that. And I don't think a lot of people understand the circumstances and the results that this would have, because now Nykaa has a control over this huge platform that a lot of people follow. So it controls narrative according to them and what they want to push out, and they can do that at any point that they want. And I've seen this happening with a lot of other brands as well. Like they would acquire a media outlet just to ensure that they're good to go. Another brand which has done that is Honasa. If you're wondering what is Honasa, Honasa is basically the parent company of Mamaearth. Mamaearth is what I said. Mamaearth and Mamaearth and I are just not on good terms, okay? Like, I love Earth, I love my mama, but Mama Earth, no, no. But yeah, Mama Earth had a lot of sister brands like Aqualogica, Ayuga. They also had Dermaco. Dermaco is there, but now they've also been acquiring brands and acquiring press outlets. A press outlet that they acquired is Mom's Presso. So Mom's Presso is like this mommy blog where a lot of moms talk about things, and they acquired Mom's Presso. And after, obviously, because their products, Mama Earth also had like a lot of childcare products, and they also have, I think, Momsco, if I'm not mistaken, they acquired, no, Momsco has been acquired by another company that I will be talking about. But basically, they have a lot of like mommy, child, and all of that going on. And Mom's Presso obviously has that base already. They acquired them because narrative. And Mama Earth, anyway, like their narrative, their marketing, their ads, they're everywhere. They're honestly, they're everywhere. Wherever you're gonna look, they're everywhere. It's like Iron Man and Spider Man condition. Everywhere I go, wherever I look, I see him. I see Mama Earth everywhere. But yeah, I'm not gonna get into like Mama Earth and shady business and all of that because that's not the point. The point is that they're a huge conglomerate, and if my resources and media speculations are to be trusted, they are going to be releasing their IPO soon as well, just like Nykaa did. Nykaa right now, their IPO has like gone down a lot. But the fact that they launched their IPO, it's a huge thing, right? Like, who would have thought that beauty would be doing so well in Indian industry? So yeah, if there is, I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. But yeah, let's talk about the next conglomerate I want to talk about, the next umbrella brand I want to talk about, because I honestly don't have a lot of to say about Mama Earth because they have the resources to acquire brands, and they are acquiring brands. They acquired Dr. Sheth, they acquired B Blunt, so I'm sure they're going to be acquiring more. And it just makes me feel a little that, I don't know what that feeling is. Icky, is that the right word? But it makes me feel a little that because these brands are something that you trusted because of a certain person. B Blunt was Aduna Akhtar's brand, who has been a hairstylist for the longest time, and then Dr. Sheth obviously is Dr. Sheth. But now they're under these parent companies, and you're just like, can I trust this brand anymore? It's like the Ordinary situation. DCM, if you know, the parent company of Ordinary was DCM, and then they were acquired by Elka, and everyone was like, now the formulation is going to change and it's going to suck, because that's what happens when a company is acquired and they want the formulation to be given to something else as well. Smashbox, for example, was, you know, given Becca's bestsellers like that because they had to close down Becca. Obviously, Becca wasn't making enough profits for them, or it was like a direct competition for their own brands. So they acquired it and they shut it down, which is like, really? Really? Like, that's not why you acquire brands. Like, honestly, like, that's their business. They know how to do it better. But yeah, that situation. So when you talk about brands like these, and when they're acquired by brands like Mama Earth, you're a little like, are the products going to remain the same? Are the formulations going to be shared by other brands now? Because that happens, okay? That happens way more often than you think. There's a trickle down effect. If a brand like L'Oreal creates an amazing, amazing product for Vichy, for example, like a skincare product for Vichy, they're going to tweak up a little couple of things, make it a little cheaper and all of that, and bring it down to Garnier as well. There are so many parallels that you can draw between brands like that, and that's something that's been happening since eons. It's not something right or wrong, it's just a business practice. It happens, it just rite of passage when it comes to businesses. All right, okay, let's move on to the third conglomerate that I want to talk about. This is the Good Glam company. Now, Good Glam was basically My Glam that acquired Popexo, and it was a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard that Popexo and My Glam were merging, I'm like, Popexo is this media outlet, MyGlam is this makeup brand, but it makes complete sense. As we've just talked about, media outlets and beauty brands go hand in hand. Acquiring them just makes much more sense for them because then they can talk about their products and whatever narrative that they want to go ahead with. But MyGlam or Good Glam company also has a lot of other brands that they've acquired: Scent Botanica, Momsco, they've acquired all of those, and a couple of other brands, Baby Chakra. Baby Chakra is also like mommy and baby blog situation, like press situation. So a lot of other brands, and this was, again, this is something very interesting as well because My Glam is just a brand that I've not properly seen. For example, what I mean is it's not a brand that people truly trust. I know that they must be getting their funding and their seeding from somewhere, but it's truly not showing in the way that people are perceiving it, and they're like giving away their lipsticks at rupees 1. I know you also have to pay for shipping, that's like around 99 or something, but still, they're not placing themselves in a way that a person would be wanting that product or their brand overall. So it was a little interesting when they acquired PopXO, and when they merged together to create a new company. So they didn't stay as My Glam or PopXO, they merged together to create the Good Glam company. But yeah, it's a little interesting. Their situation is very, very unique because I've honestly not seen My Glam a lot. They have been like advertisement wise, yes, but when I'm talking about like people online, the proper usage, and they've done so many collaborations, not just their Manish Malhotra collaboration, but also with bloggers. They've had a shit ton of collaborations, and if things from the insider circle are to be believed, people didn't really have their voices in that collaboration. They were just given the product. They were like, here are 10 lipsticks, just slap your name on them, or here are 10 nail polishes, slap your name on them. And people did it because they wanted to have a collab tag. And while that's again not right or wrong, I'm just saying that they had the products. It wasn't like there was a lot of thought given to it. The collabs were done only to like push sales, and I'm not sure how much that helped, honestly, because things like these, like people can see through things like these, especially now these days. Maybe yeah, a couple of years ago people wouldn't be able to see through things and if they're being genuinely done or not, but these days everyone is super super intelligent. You can see through when something's not genuinely done, when something's just been like, here, take this stuff. So yeah, so that, but I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts and opinions about Good Glam, My Glam, their merger with PopXO, and them acquiring Scent Botanica, Momsco, Baby Chakra. I didn't even know what Baby Chakra was because I did not. And I was just researching for this and I was like, wow, they've acquired two media outlets. So PopXO is more Gen Z, more like teenager or 20s and all of that. And then Baby Chakra is like a mommy group. So they went out with their media first and next with more brands, and that's a like a separate take on it, because when you talk about Nykaa and when you talk about Honasa, they first acquired more brands and then they acquired their media outlets, because they were like, okay, now we have the brands, now we need the media outlets as well. But with Good Glam or My Glam, it's very, very confusing. They first acquired a media outlet and then they also made the media outlet have their own range of products. So PopXO came out with their lip balm, sunscreen, makeup, very weird makeup, but yeah, and it was very similar to My Glam as well. Like they had quads, just like My Glam had quads. My Glam had quads with Manish Malhotra, and then PopXO had quads. I'm not sure how similar the color stories were, but yeah, so basically a very, very similar range. It was like, okay, we already have manufacturing here, let's just like make a cheaper packaging for it and pass it on to the Popexo people, because Popexo has people who are in like their teenage or early 20s and they won't be having enough money to spend, so we want something that's more affordable. So yeah, that. And now the last company, which isn't like right now a proper like umbrella company, but I can see it becoming one, and that is Sugar Cosmetics. Now Sugar recently acquired N's Closet, which has been renamed, rebranded, and all of that. So N's Closet is now just N. It's just N. And when I first saw that change, I was like, it's weird that, because I remember it being N's Closet and I have a lot of products from N's Closet, and now it's just N, and it was like a very sudden and like that kind of a change. And then I realized, oh, they were acquired by Sugar. And obviously when you're acquired, there are different voices that come into play, and N's Closet didn't feel like a skincare brand, right? It felt more like a thrift store, if I'm being honest. And their whole ideology, their packaging and everything was based around Lush, but now they've shifted to like Indianness and all of that. Like they have ghee lip balms and all of that, which I'm sure like plays into that mentality as well. Like, okay, N has like Indian stuff. It's not a Lush. It's not like a aspirational US thing. It's more of like, oh, what I already know. So yeah, there was a switch in N's Closet. There was a switch in the whole identity of N's Closet, and now it's N, and it's under Sugar Cosmetics now. And Sugar only has acquired, I think, N still now. They haven't acquired any other beauty brand as such, but I cannot wait to see that journey. You can call them a parent company because they have acquired a brand, and I'm sure they are thinking about more subsidiary brands underneath them, but it's a smaller parent company when we talk about the other brands that we've talked about, like Nykaa, Hunasa, and Good Glam. I'm always about to say My Glam, and then I remember it's the Good Glam company, or whatever it's supposed to be. But yes, those were some parent companies I wanted to talk about when it comes to the Indian beauty scenario. If you have any other companies you want me to talk about, if you want me to talk about some companies and their practices, like I would love to have a beauty chat over Mama Earth and how they really like went from 0 to 100 overnight. I'm not even kidding you. Their growth is just too rapid. Okay, it's too rapid. Overall beauty industry has been very rapid. When you talk about brands like L'Oreal, Elka, and all of that, these are like century old brands. Okay, it took them time to become like these huge umbrella companies, parent companies, and to acquire so many brands. But in India, that growth has been phenomenally quick. But even then, when we talk about Honasa and Mama Earth in general, it went from 0 to 100 really really soon. So if you want me to talk more about like specific companies, brands, and all of that, their journey, like we can talk and decode about like journey, like brand journeys from like their inception point to where they are right now, what they've done, and all of that, I can do that as well. That sounds interesting. Now as I'm speaking about it, I'm like, wow, that is really interesting. For example, we can talk about Nykaa and how Nykaa went from Nykaa.com to Nykaa Beauty, and the journey that they took in between, and the highs and the lows, the starting point, because I was there for the starting point. They launched their shower gels. That was the first thing, and they were in 4 variants, and I was lavender. I chose my variant, and everyone was also given the options. I'm not gonna say more, but yeah. I was given the first option to choose, and I was like, lavender is my thing. Like, I love rose as well, and I love jasmine too. Aqua, I'm like okay with. Why does this did the topic already change? I'm just gonna leave it at there. I'm just gonna say that if you want me to talk more about certain companies, certain brands, their journey, their trajectory, them going from 0 to 100, their marketing, and everything in between, then let me know. It sounds interesting, but I would love to know if you would want to hear about it as well or not, because at the end of the day, a conversation requires two people. So I'm talking, but I also need someone else to talk back to me or hear me, or you know, all on that. But yes, hopefully this video was interesting enough for you guys. The overall point for this video is that when we talk about umbrella companies, we have to keep in mind that they have control over narrative, and we need to understand that, and we need to also not give into that. We need to place ourselves in a way that we can see a parent company, we can see subsidiaries, we can differentiate one from another. For example, will I still talk about Dot and Co, Dot and Key? Yes, because the products are phenomenal. But will I also keep in mind that some of the things might have trickled down from Nykaa and they're controlling the narrative? Absolutely, yes. I would keep that in mind as well. So, and we have to understand that these media outlets that have been acquired as well might not always be the most truthful thing out there. Okay, might not be. So yeah, it's just basically how Nestle controls so much, right? When we talk about people from the Western world and we see that, we think like that's such a far away thing from us. Like how Nestle and Johnson and all of those companies have been controlling so many things. Coca-Cola, for example, they have like a choke hold on our generation and the generations that were previous to us, and I'm sure generations that are about to come. We think that nothing like that can happen in India because we have like very few conglomerates like these, and some of them we really trust. For example, when you talk about Tata company, I really trust them for some reason. I'm like, oh, Tata ka hai na, to it would be fine. We don't have a lot of companies like that. We only have a very few limited companies, but that is changing, guys. That is changing. We have newer billionaires and millionaires coming up in India, especially when you watch Shark Tank, when we talk about Boat as a company or Lenskart as a company, and how they've like boomed and boomed so quickly, and now they're like acquiring companies. They're telling other companies कि वो यहाँ के गुंडे हैं, and they can like finish them in one day. So you know that the Indian market overall is changing, and beauty is not far behind. So basically, what I'm trying to say is these umbrella companies control the narrative, but we need to take that power back from them. I'm not saying stop buying from them or whatever, or only support indie brands who are not acquired yet. What I'm trying to say is just think whenever you're purchasing, or think whenever you're seeing an ad, or think whenever you're seeing a recommendation, okay, where is this coming from? Keep your thoughts, your mind above your need to just quickly buy something just because you've read something or you've seen an ad. That's what I'm trying to say. But yes, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this and found this interesting. Not helpful, but interesting. I'm gonna see you guys next time. Till then, take care and let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I am looking forward to them. I'll see you guys next time. Till then, take care. I love you all so much. Mwah. Bye.